The Sleepless City. Introduction. There are cities that never sleep because they don't want to. And then there are cities that stay awake because they can't. Maya lived in the second kind. She hadn't slept in weeks, not since the day her sister vanished from the world without warning, taking with her the only person who ever knew how to calm the noise. Now, as the streets flickered with neon and grief, and the night hummed with memory, Maya wandered through a city that whispered back. Chapter 1. Once upon a time, in a city stitched together with lights and longing, there lived a woman named Maya, who could not sleep. The clock still ticked, the moon still waxed and waned. But her dreams? They had packed their bags, the night her sister vanished from the world, without saying goodbye. Every night Maya would sit by her window, a mug of tea gone cold beside her, and watch the world glitter on. The city was supposed to sleep. Cities always do, eventually, but this one didn't. Not really. At 3 a.m., the crosswalk still blinked. At 4, a dog barked at shadows. At 5, a woman in gold heels danced barefoot in the rain. It was as if the city had made a secret promise. As long as you're awake, I'll stay up with you. Maya noticed others too, night wanderers like herself. And slowly, Maya began to wonder, maybe the city wasn't broken. Maybe it was waiting for someone to listen, to feel, to heal. She didn't know it yet, but the sleepless city was holding her in its quiet arms, rocking her gently and saying, "It's okay. You don't have to sleep. Not yet. Just be." And so, beneath a sky stitched with stars, Maya stayed awake, not out of fear, but curiosity. Because sometimes the most magical things only happen when the world is supposed to be asleep. Chapter 2. The Night People. In the heart of the city that never sleeps, Maya began to notice she wasn't alone. The world had thinned at night. Not emptier, just quieter. Like the city held its breath so its secret voices could whisper. And in that hush, she found them. The Night People. There was a singer in the subway. He wore an old velvet blazer and sang songs that felt like warm soup on a cold soul. Maya stood by the tiled walls, her hands in her coat pockets, as he crooned lullabies not meant to lull anyone to sleep, but to remember. Then there was the waitress at the all-night diner, silver curls tucked beneath a leopard print scarf. She poured coffee like it was holy water, and called everyone baby. Maya listened, and watched, and wrote little notes on napkins. Their stories, their names, proof that even in her unraveling, connections still flickered like neon signs. She met a cab driver with a radio that only played old jazz, and a passenger seat filled with books he never finished. He spoke in riddles. He drove without maps. There was also a woman who painted murals with glow-in-the-dark paint. She worked under bridges and overpasses, where traffic hummed above like lullabies made of engine noise. And slowly, ever so slowly, Maya felt something shift. Not in the city, not yet, but in her. It wasn't that her grief had gone. It still curled beside her like a sleeping cat. Warm, heavy, hard to move. But these people, these night people, had made space for her sadness. They didn't chase it away. They just let it be. And in doing so, they reminded Maya that even the loneliest shadows belong to something larger. That sometimes the ones who walk through the dark are the first to notice the stars. Chapter 3. What Keeps Us Awake. There were nights Maya couldn't tell if her eyes were open or if the dark had crept inside her. She remembered laughter. Her sister's laughter. It used to fill rooms like sunlight, tumble out of phone calls, wrap around her kids like blankets. Then one day, it was gone. Suddenly, without preparation. A message on her phone. A silence that followed. A world that tilted just enough to never feel safe again. Maya tried to hold it together. For her daughter, always watching. For her teenage son, slipping away behind headphones and long silences. For the family her sister once held together like glue. But inside, she felt unstitched. And the city knew. It buzzed louder when her heart was aching. Street signs seemed to flicker in Morse code. Voices whispered from alleyways where no one stood. Time slowed at night, not as punishment, but as invitation. To remember, to grieve, to question. And one night, she sat on a bench beside the East River and whispered out loud, "Why can't I rest?" The wind replied with hushes. The lights blinked like lullabies. And she understood. She wasn't just tired. She was carrying too much to lay anything down. Chapter 4. The Hidden Layer. It began with a key. The cab driver handed it to her one night without explanation. "You'll know where it fits when you're ready." She walked for days with that key, tucked in her coat, cold against her heart. Then one night, beneath an ivy-draped building in the garment district, she found a door she swore hadn't been there before. It led to a rooftop garden, tomatoes growing, lavender, a huge fig tree bowed with fruit. Fairy lights blinked gently from string to string, and people were there, quiet people, sitting, breathing, smiling without words. The artist was painting stars on plant pots. The diner waitress watered a rose bush. Even the subway singer was humming, barefoot on the moss. It was the city's heart, pulsing softly, a place where grief could sit beside beauty, where silence wasn't empty, but full. Here, Maya exhaled for the first time in months, and she understood. The city wasn't keeping her awake. It was keeping her company. And slowly, gently, she felt the shape of peace press against her ribs. Chapter 5. The Breaking Point. Then the artist disappeared. One night she was there, brushing moonlight onto a cracked wall, and the next, her name became a question. Maya searched, asked, waited. The rooftop door didn't open for days. The city grew loud again. Sirens, construction, buzzing lights. Her daughter cried over dinner. Her son slammed his door, and Maya stood in the bathroom, staring into her own eyes, asking, "What am I doing wrong?" That night, she walked until her legs ached. She passed a mirror left on the curb, and for a moment, saw her sister's face instead of her own. She dropped to the sidewalk and sobbed. Not the polite kind, the from the center of your bones kind, and the city went quiet, as if honoring the release. And when she stood again, tears still on her cheeks, she felt different. Not better, but lighter. Chapter 6. The First Quiet. It started with one streetlight. Blink. Outside, and then another. And Maya woke before her alarm, to birdsong. She sat up confused, then smiled. She had slept. Not the full night, but enough to know it was possible. Her children noticed. There was more laughter at breakfast, less sighing. She still walked at night, but it wasn't about escape anymore. It was about witnessing. And when she saw another woman sitting alone on a bench, Maya sat beside her, said nothing, just offered her presence. Epilogue. The City That Dreams. Maya never left the night behind completely. She volunteered at the community garden on the roof. She shared stories at the diner during slow hours. She passed out tiny notebooks to night wanderers. With a note, write what keeps you awake, then write what helps you rest. The city still buzzed. It still flickered. But now, pockets of quiet bloomed like flowers in alleyways. And sometimes, a stranger would whisper to another, "Ask Maya. She knows where the door is." Because Maya did know. She had found it in her darkest hour, and she had kept it open. Because some cities stay awake to heal their people.